Something is rotten in the city of Denver. After a crushing Game 3 loss, the Nuggets are trailing in their first playoff series of 2026. They need to look in the mirror, but we're not sure they're going to like what they see. Stay tuned to find out what we see. Welcome to What's in a Game. I'm Grace Jean here with my co-host Will Jones. How are you doing today on this fine Friday, Will?
Oh, it's a rough day to be a Nuggets fan. The chat has been going off crazy. The most amount of chatting we've had before shows even started. So appreciate you guys being in here and venting your frustrations because we feel you on that for sure.
I don't think we've ever had this active of a chat in the 10-15 minutes before the show starts.
But it is fun to see. I mean, I totally get it. There's so much to talk about. I was hoping we'd have more schematic things to talk about, real playoff basketball being here, but when you have a blowout like that, it's hard to just talk about, specific plays because it was just a beatdown. I actually did feel worse after game 2 than last night, though, I will say.
I think the thing with the way that blowouts go is you basically have all game to come to terms with it, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas when a game comes down to the wire, I think if you're literally talking about the moment a game ends, I can understand being more upset after a close loss than after, a game like last night's, right?
Yeah.
I want to dig into the emotions of all this, but before we do, just please do us a favor, hit the like and subscribe buttons. Helps us out with the YouTube algorithm as we try to grow the channel through what might be a short playoffs for our Denver Nuggets. But yeah, let's dig into that a little bit more, Will, because I'm not gonna get into too many specifics, but Will and I message each other back and forth. Sometimes during games, sometimes after games and all this stuff. And I always feel like, again, without giving away any specifics, the way that you message me during games like this is a lot of information. And I'm like, does he want me to talk him off the ledge? Does he want me to join in the shit talkery? How do I approach this? Because it's so extreme.
I just want to get your opinion. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is a vent type of dynamic. But yeah, that game 2 was just so. I mean, I definitely with time felt better about it, but at the time it felt like the Nuggets were in trouble. It just looked like we were outmatched. It looked like they kind of gave up in that game and then they carried over into this next game. And the only reason why I came around to saying I can't make any definitive conclusions until I see game 4, because either it's going to be 3-1 or it's going to be 2-2. And that's a huge difference. So if it's 2-2, I mean, the series can still go anyway. But if it's 3-1, series is pretty much over. So it's kind of like we have to win this next game. And everyone has a different feeling on whether they think the Nuggets will respond and win the game or are going to be, lying over and dying. So, yeah.
I mean, you could respond and lose the game.
That's true, too.
Yeah. That's why, losses like the last 2 are so damaging. In the playoffs, everybody is at least a decent team, right? And even really good teams can lose to other decent teams that are scouting them and et cetera, et cetera. So I think that would be because I'm terrible. I think I'd be more mad if they responded and lost game 4. Because I'm what the fuck?
It would hurt a lot because the way the Nuggets sometimes just almost get to the place where we all want them to go, or at least in these recent seasons, and then just collapse from there. We almost went up 3-1 on OKC. We almost beat the Wolves in 7 and then had a 20-point lead and then collapsed. And then we were up by 19 in game 2, looked like we were going to take complete control of the series, and then you lose that game and then you're getting blown out in game 3. So it's I'm really getting it hurts to be a fan to watch them lose in this way. But yeah, if we get blown out next game again, then it's like everyone's just going to be talking about who's going to be gone, which we might be talking about that a little bit today. But if we lose in a close game, it's just going to be even more heartbreaking. And yeah, it sucks.
Could you bring up that last comment from our Smart here in the chat? We like to represent all of the myriad viewpoints of the fan base, and Ray here is ever the optimist about the team. He says Nuggets in 6. Our defense has been great. CB is completely locked down, and we are just not shooting well and need variance to come our way. Jokic, Murray, Cam aren't shooting well. Don't lose hope. I will say I agree with the part where Jokic, Murray, and Cam are not shooting well, because that's just true. The whole team is really not shooting well. But especially like the guys you rely on to shoot. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. has been having a terrible shooting series as well.
And everyone.
Yeah.
It's like every starter.
It's been really bad. Actually, let me bring up this this tweet. This is not an excuse, by the way, but I want to bring up this tweet from Carson Breber from the Nerd Sesh podcast. Let's see. Carson says this is about defense across the playoffs. As of right now, the average offensive rating in this postseason would be the lowest since the 2019 playoffs. That's 7 years ago. Teams are also averaging the most steals that we've seen since 1993. So far, the defenses are dictating. It's kind of crazy. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think that generally matches like what you've been seeing watching the playoffs, like not just our series?
That the defenses, what was the numbers again? What was
the average offensive rating in this playoffs is the lowest since 2019.
That is weird. I mean, watching the Nuggets definitely feel that. I mean, that's just horrible. Yeah, teams are kind of struggling to like rise to the occasion. I don't know what the deal is. Besides, like even the Knicks are struggling, and they shouldn't be. Like they have enough talent, but they're not showing up. The Nuggets aren't showing up, and yeah, I mean, just the shots have disappeared. Like with the Nuggets specifically. I mean, I don't know if you want to go specifically into Nuggets offense stuff. I know you're talking general playoffs, but yeah, I think I don't know.
Before we dig into the Nuggets, I just want to take a quick glance at shooting specifically to see how the other teams are doing in the 3-point department. Okay, playoffs. Okay, there are actually 2 teams that are shooting well over 40% from 3 in the playoffs. You can probably guess one of them.
The Wolves.
No.
The Thunder.
No. It's like a good shooting team that stayed a good shooting team in the playoffs that we hate.
The Spurs.
It's the Lakers. The Lakers, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're shooting. Like, there's so many teams that I hate.
So it's crazy because they're actually they're shooting the lowest number of attempts, like 23 attempts per game in the playoffs, which is exceptionally low. For reference, Denver was 30th in 3-point attempts per game and just per 100 like frequency, I think last season, and they were averaging like 27 attempts per game. So the Lakers are down at 23.5, but they're shooting 48.9% from 3. Which is interesting how low the attempts are. Pretty similar for Toronto, who is number 2 in efficiency, but only 25 attempts per game, and they are shooting almost 45% from 3. I feel like the Lakers get way better looks than Toronto, though, so there's no similarity between those 2 teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Although one of the reasons that the Lakers' attempts might be so low is because they like never get offensive rebounds on the Rockets. So there's that. You don't get those like those like offensive rebound kick out threes. Not that it matters because they're up 2-0 in their series.
I know. I was just thinking about our picks, which I guess we can do the next round once the round is
Yeah,
this round's done.
we'll finish our playoff picks
But I'm
after
like, we
round
might
one finishes.
be wrong on multiple in the West, which is kind of interesting, you know. But the West is weird, so what can
Yeah,
you
one
expect?
just like a general commentary on the playoffs. I believe over half the series were tied at 1-1 after game 2. So that would have been Nuggets Wolves, Spurs Blazers, Pistons Magic, Knicks Hawks, and Celtics Cavs. So that's 5 of the 8 series are were tied at 1-1, which meant that the higher seed didn't sweep their home games, which was kind of interesting. I didn't really expect the number to be that high. I think after game 1 of round 1, and not just our game 1, not just Denver's game 1, but all of them, there was a lot of commentary after that, like Sunday, which is the second day of the playoffs, that people were like, oh, round 1's not going to be interesting. And everyone thought our series was not going to be interesting, and it might not be, but not for the reasons that people thought after game 1. Because it just seemed like, okay, all the higher seeds are just gonna basically take care of business here. But
Except for us. And
well, not just
yeah,
not all the
and
higher
the
seeds,
Knicks.
because it was like, or the Orlando Magic were, I think that they were the only game 1 upset of the ones I listed. Yes. Every other than that, every other higher seed one.
Yeah.
Ray says Jokic drops 50 tomorrow, Murray drops 30, and they blow out the Wolves. That's my prediction. From your lips.
Man, blowing the Wolves out would be crazy with how they look and AG being out. And yeah, there's been no update on PWA and AG. I'm sure you guys watched other Nugget shows, and if you've been online, that Adelman says there's no update on that other than AG walked through practice, but I don't know anything about how he looked or felt.
What I will say about AG is when I saw that he got downgraded from probable to questionable with the calf tightness, I knew he was going to be out.
Yeah, yeah. I
because
thought, yeah,
because like playoff questionable means it's really bad. Especially if you get downgraded from probable to questionable, it means it got bad enough that they were like, we're probably going to need to pull you, and we need to have that like paper trail.
yeah,
Um, yeah, which is, I mean, was just disappointing on its face, because it's like, okay, well, here we go again. Like AG hasn't been able to stay healthy. Um, Obviously, it's a big blow to Denver in the playoffs, but in this series in particular, um, they don't have anybody else they trust at AG's position.
yeah.
Although actually had some decent contributions from Spencer and Zeke yesterday.
Hmm.
Let's get a little bit. Let's get into the actual game. Let's talk about game 3 a little bit.
Yeah.
First, let's go kind of more broad. I have 2 questions for you, Will. What was the most infuriating thing about game 3? And then what was the most annoying?
Okay. Um. Hmm.
Like, what was
They're
the
both so
thing?
similar, right?
So the thing, when I mean infuriating, I mean like you are getting mad, like you're getting heated, like the thing that causes you to send me like those messages during the game, versus the thing that's like, oh well, you gotta be kidding me. Like the thing that makes you go kind of like, just kind of like, ugh, like throw your head back kind of thing. I think that those are 2 distinct
Hmm.
feelings.
I think the most
To be honest.
infuriating thing is Jokic is just his offense has disappeared.
Mm.
Because when do you see someone of his caliber who's had multiple MVPs and has won the finals? Like he's had games in the past, of course, in series. You know, I can think of like the Wolves series, Thunder series, Clipper series, where he's had games where his shot or touch was off in a way, and you know he came back and then had good games after that. This though, the way that it just went to zero, given everything we know about Jokic, is really strange. Like I just don't see it from someone of his level. And I've seen him struggle to hit threes against the Wolves before, and we knew the pick and pop was going to be an important play to kind of counter what the Wolves wanted to do. and him not making it, like it was a possibility. We said like if Jamal's 3 and Jokic's 3 just isn't there, like it can be, this is going to be even more difficult, and it's going to be an important shot. But it's like every shot of Jokic is gone right now. It's like the midi, the inside game. It's just so, that's rough. That's probably the most infuriating thing. I don't know what the most annoying thing is. Maybe like Adelman, like I don't, you know.
I think we got our first DA rage timeout during that game, which was actually like endeared me to him. It was like during a sequence where they're trying to like chip away at the lead, and they were kind of trading baskets for a bit. And the very last play, I think that Denver either got a 3 or they had made like a driving layup, and then Aya DeSumo comes like charging down in transition. There's no floor balance. He basically gets like a semi-contested layup, easy, and then DA calls timeout. And I swear, before the ref's whistle even blows, like he's already marching onto the court. It was kind of weird. He looked just like Malone, like charging onto the floor like that. He was really mad. And I'd never seen him do that before, so that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this series is definitely making me question Adelman more than before. And it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to give him benefit of the doubts the first year, and I'm trying to trust the players to take care of their business. Adelman's not a guy who's like putting the players' feet to the fire, so it's up to them ultimately to like stay professional and come out and take care of business, and they just haven't done that. So I don't know. I get that they're veterans. They didn't want Malone yelling at them a bunch, but now we just have DA, who's like a passive coach, and for the most part, which is fine if that's what the players want. But I just question why they want that when they don't seem too motivated right now. But really quick, my most annoying thing is DiVincenzo just being really good. I'm sorry. Like
really good. Like I know really good in this series, in this matchup, in a way that was the complete opposite of what he looked like against Denver in the regular season. Like every other game, he would make shots here and there, but in terms of like being this all-encompassing, impact player, like no, it was not what I was expecting. Not just against us, like he's really struggled in other playoff series with Minnesota. Like I don't remember him being a big player in the Warriors series. He was definitely straight up bad against OKC, like unplayable bad against OKC last year. To the point where you kind of question, like, okay, I don't know how much he's even going to be able to play in this series. And honestly, because of again what we'd seen on the film, was kind of like Denver should, even if he does kind of pop, because the shooting can always kind of get there. Denver should be able to like limit his minutes or like play him off the floor nearly, because like defensively, the ways that Denver attacks, he hadn't been like great. Being put into all those actions and everything. So
right. And I just remember the trade and thinking this is going to be great for the Nuggets. Cat is gone, which Cat is a kind of controversial player, but he held up really well on Jokic and allowed Rudy to roam. And so I thought that would be a difference maker. Rudy's held up, so it hasn't mattered. But, DiVincenzo was kind of, he was not a throw in to that trade, but like they needed his salary to match, and it added more shooting for their team. So it was like, more shooting. DiVincenzo, he's been so great. I didn't think it would be that big of a difference maker. There was always something in the back of my head that thought down the road, playing the Wolves in the playoffs and him torching us from 3 was a possibility, and the nightmare is all coming true. Where like Randall's doing okay, DiVincenzo's honestly killing us more than Cat ever was. So it's just it sucks to see.
I don't know about that, because he can only have like so much impact.
Yeah,
just like on the comment about Cat being a controversial player, his minutes were like so crucial for the Knicks in sort of staying alive as long as they did in the Pacers series last year. And they just lost their second playoff game by 1 point, which has to be like so infuriating for their fans. We were just talking about like which feels worse. They lost by 109 to 108 to the Hawks yesterday. Do you want to know what the Knicks were in Cat's minutes?
Oh, man. Yes, I do want to know. I don't even want to guess.
Plus 22.
Dang, what the hell?
Minus 18 with Mitchell Robinson on the floor, actually, which is interesting.
That's what I'm saying.
Minus
Cat is
26
weird.
with Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
Only played 21 minutes as a starter. Interesting little story brewing over there. But yeah, like Cat's an impact player, like when he kind of like gets his stuff together. It's really just like the airhead moments, but otherwise it's just like he's too like big, strong, and skilled to not be useful. But yeah, no, like DiVincenzo's killing us right now.
Yeah, that's the most annoying thing.
But I do think, right, like their best player has been Rudy Gobert, like by a mile. In game 1, he also gave them offensive contributions. It just wasn't enough to help Minnesota, steal that game because of some other things. My most infuriating thing about game 3 was also Jokic, just kind of like generally. It wasn't just the offensive end of the floor, like defensively, like wasn't doing it for me. I didn't like his energy. Honestly, we talk about like the thing with like the coaching and how the players like need a kick in the ass and like all this stuff, and we've been talking about that all season. Like, is this actually gonna is this model gonna work for this group of guys? I thought that most of the guys came out with like the requisite like wanting to be there, except Jokic. Like Jokic was the only player on the floor that felt like he just didn't want to be there. Which is really bad coming from your best player. I don't think that they were all operating at like 90 to 100% or anything like that, but it wasn't like nobody else really stood out as like, wow, I hate this body language, or like the energy's not there, this, that, and the other. They had their like kind of airhead moments, but it wasn't, like some of the like clear low effort games that we'd seen, that we've seen from these guys, right? I thought Jamal in particular, he didn't play well. Like he could not like hit anything. Super inefficient game from him again. But I thought he was trying really hard. And honestly, there was a point in the middle of the game where I felt like, did Jamal not get the memo? Like, we're not trying to try this hard tonight. I was kind of just like, don't hurt yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
but he was like, almost trying to like will them back into the game. But obviously like not able to do that, but like energy wise. 71 St. Clair says Zeke was their best player. Zeke played well. He wasn't their best player. Though who was? In all honesty, who was
maybe from like an effort standpoint?
Maybe Zeke was like in the running, which is terrible. He's the only one who can make threes so far in this series, which is incredible. Big Honey 15 says part of the reason Rudy's so effective is because he doesn't have to worry about the actions behind a yoke, post up, or nail touches. He knows his teammates can cover our cuts. Really good point there, Big Honey 15, because one of the things that I'm going to complain about in a few minutes is how much Denver's offense has shifted from the regular, like against this Wolves team, from the regular season to this playoff series in terms of the amount of off-ball movement. It's not even just from the regular season. Game 1 to now, to like game 1 to game 2 and 3, completely different situation. And it's not just, I hate when people complain like, oh, they're not doing this thing, like the team is doing this, and then when you go back and look at it, it's like, actually no, the defense just did a better job covering that. No, like Denver wasn't even going to those things to like try them, to spam putting Dante in action, putting Ant into action off the ball specifically, like in ways that we specifically covered during our series preview, because like these guys are really strong athletic defenders, but they get really inattentive sometimes, especially when you're looking at a team where the kind of offensive burden has to be more evenly distributed with the current state that Ant is in. Some of those guys like Jaden and Nas having like seemingly like a pretty similar shoulder thing that Mike had last year. Like he can barely like raise his arm. They're not going to be as efficient offensively. but have to like take on more burden, it kind of like messes with their attention on defense. And Denver like taxed the hell out of that in game 1. They have not gone to that as much in these last 2 games, and I've been looking for it because I've been looking to see what is Minnesota going to do to specifically counter this. Now, one of the things that they did more so in game 2 than 3 is that you had Rudy playing more drop on Jokic instead of sticking to him in order to cover those kinds of things. But even then, it was just like higher volume than in game 1 where he was really like sticking to Jokic. And then in game 3, like not really. Like those things were available to them. They just didn't go for it in nearly the volume that they did in the regular season or in game 1. Okay. How should we start here? I want to talk about the ways that this series has actually has surprised me and how it's gone, not just in like what Denver is doing or not doing, but just like what the battlegrounds have actually been. And the first place I want to talk about is the small ball Minnesota lineups, the non-Rudy lineups, effectively, whenever it's Nas and Julius on the floor, or just one of those guys playing center. When we went over this in our series preview, these were the lineups that Minnesota had the most success with against Denver in the regular season, because effectively, like, Denver just couldn't stop those lineups. And even though they couldn't stop us either, I think it was basically both teams kind of fighting between like a 128 and 129 offensive rating against each other when those lineups were playing against Denver. Some of that was because those lineups play sometime against Val in those non-Jokic minutes, but a lot of those minutes were against Jokic in the regular season. And so I remember, saying during our series preview that one swing factor for Minnesota in this series would be like if those small ball units figure out a way to really button things up defensively, they could be a real problem for Denver on offense. And I do think that they were in game 2 in the second quarter for like a stretch, which unfortunately was like all they needed to get back in the game, retake momentum, and ultimately ride that to victory in game 2, right? But let's pull up some of these clips, and then I'll give my overall assessment on how important those lineups have actually been in the grand scheme of this series so far. So the first one, if you could bring up the Julius layup. So here, this like tough lineup. You've got Ant and Julius on the floor, DiVincenzo, Jaden, and Nas. So like a pretty good shooting lineup around Julius at the 5. You can go ahead and hit play. Yeah, so Ant gets Julius' ball. He runs a handoff with Dante and basically turns it into an empty side pick and roll that Denver tries to guard 2-on-2, but I mean, like, Jokic offers pretty minimal resistance at the rim here. Honestly, I think AG should have just rotated over and forced Julius to kick out, because like that's going to be an open 2. But at this point, I think Denver had already given up almost like an 8-0 run or a 10-0 run to kind of let Minnesota back in the game. And so they were probably like, let's not allow any more threes, because they were giving up a lot of threes. So that was tough. But again, like they're playing 5 out, so you don't want to bring it over a third defender. I would bring over the third defender, because when you're playing empty side like the Wolves were, it makes it a lot easier for the team on defense to guard that action 3-on-2, because the rotations for the 3 guys that are on the opposite side of the court are much easier for like a smaller number of defenders to make, because those guys are all packed together on one side of the floor, right? It's one of the reasons I hate when Denver runs empty side, because nobody guards those actions 2-on-2 against Denver. They guard them 3-on-2, and they become really cramped unless you can, incorporate some movement to sort of force defenders to kind of move around the chessboard in that way. But Denver just doesn't do that. They're like, you can guard us 3-on-2, but we won't guard you 3-on-2, and would just gross, right? All right, so you can bring up the Dante corner 3 next. The first one. There's like a little bit of difference between these two, but same general principles. So this one, okay, again in game 2, this is during that small ball stretch in the second quarter. Ant drives, basically a drive and kick sequence where Denver doesn't make the proper X outs, and eventually you get a wide open Dante DiVincenzo corner 3, and this one was the one for the Wolves. I think their first lead of the game. If not, it was like maybe they led like 2-0 or something at the beginning. I don't think so, because Denver had a pretty sizable lead in that first quarter. Yeah. Could you bring up the next Dante corner 3?
Yeah, it starts with like a kind of pick
this
and
one
roll.
was from game 3. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the clip starts early, but essentially it was like almost like a rejected screen where Bruce tried to like he stepped over to kind of fight, and then Dante went the other way quickly, and then it caused Jokic to step up. And then he just threw it, skipped past to the corner, and then relocated.
That one was actually tough. There was I think there had been another one where Dante's getting so many quarter 3s in this series, it kind of doesn't matter. In a variety of ways. And just open 3s in general, like the one that helped the Wolves take the lead. Or not take the lead, but gain a 4-point lead at the end in like the last minute of game 2. Where I was like, why are we doubling Ant at the top, like leaving Dante? Like situational defense, just
being in the wrong position or like stunting over too far when you don't need to, and then DiVincenzo's open, like you're helping off him. It's really bad. I will say though, I mean, I know we're talking about small ball, but at the beginning of game 3, the defense was not bad, and like we held them to like 10 points for a while in the game, and it ended up being 14-4 at one point, but there wasn't that much time left. They ended up getting 25 points in the quarter, and it's like if our offense was there, that would have been a fine defensive quarter for us. Besides Jokic, like I'm sorry to say, he was probably the worst.
Yeah, I mean,
player in the first quarter.
That was clear. I think in game 1. There were a lot more perimeter blow-bys, and I felt like Jokic had a better defensive game because he was covering for a lot. Game 2 was like not. He had like some stretches that were like that third quarter. I really thought he was really good on both ends. He was challenging a lot of things. Even the fourth quarter, I thought he was pretty like good for him defensively. But the first half, it was terrible. Especially in those small ball minutes, and we've got a few more where it's just like I don't even know like what you're supposed to be doing here. And yesterday, obviously terrible. I mean, there's no, and I don't. There weren't as many instances where I felt like it was because of something that happened unintentionally at the perimeter. Maybe I don't like some of the coverages that they're employing, this, that, and the other, but we'll get to the offense versus defense question in a bit. If you could bring up the Nas 3 next. So this is again during game 2. I was really focused on this stretch because I really thought that this was where they lost this game. So here we're scrambling, but we're not scrambling. It's like fully collapsing on Julius. Let him kick out. Okay, great. Don't allow like an easy layup here, and now you've got like Cam and Bruce like trying to like you've got 3 guys guarding somebody that's standing on the baseline. Right? Like you've got Cam and Bruce just kind of there, and it's like, okay, he did the thing we want him to do, he kicked out, but now you have to actually scramble.
Yeah. That leaves Christian guarding 3 on the perimeter.
Yeah,
someone's gonna get an open look.
And the fact that he like ran out, he's like, somebody's got to run out here and like try to contest this thing.
Yeah, I still like I get the
I also don't
defensive
think that you'd have
issues.
to like fully collapse there. Like, I think our help has been very not smart.
Yeah, that's kind of been a theme all season, the over
Yeah.
helping and not trusting
Yeah.
people and being too far over. Like Tim's been guilty of that. I mean, everyone's been guilty of it at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
And without AG in last game, like the defense holding up it's just even more impossible. But I don't know. It's also funny. It's like when they're trying to work on defense and keep the defensive intensity up, the offense kind of can struggle. And when they're like on firing on all cylinders on offense, they're not trying on defense. So
And
it's
we
with this
talked about
team.
this as one of our biggest questions in the playoffs, and mine for Jokic was like, can he play good defense and offense in the same game? But it's not just him; it's like the whole team just kind of can't do both. They can't walk and chew gum at the same time, and that is a problem when it comes to playoff basketball, where you're like finally getting your defense is finally showing up, and then your offense completely craters, right? As an offensive team.
Yeah.
All right, now here, I think this is the one that caused the rage timeout from DA. I'm not sure though, because Io had so many. If you could bring up Io getting downhill and finishing. Actually, this one might have been from game 2 also, so might not be from yesterday. Let's see.
The first Io drive.
Yeah. Oh, it won't be the first one then. Yeah, so Io had a lot of them. This
If
was
you're
not
looking
the
for
one.
a specific one, I have 5
There's like
clips
5 or 6. Yeah, let's just play all of them. Oh, this is the one. Do you see that there? He calls the timeout. Let's just watch that one more time here. Io gets through. DA's on the floor before he calls the timeout. He is on the court before his hands go into timeout motion. He's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. He's had it.
So were you happy with the fact that you were worried about his timeouts?
Yeah.
I mean, the Nuggets, I know it's the least of your worries right now.
We've had some like dumb challenges in this. It's not been dispositive like so far. It hasn't been a value add either. Yeah. There's a lot there. But my overall verdict again against these small ball lineups, especially because in game 3 we went smaller, no AG in this game, but we end up not playing Val against I think I'm trying to remember if Val played at all yesterday.
No, I don't think it did.
Were there any?
I don't remember at the end of the game.
I actually think what happened is DA decided to go small, and Finch was like, "Fine, we'll just preserve Rudy for when we match him up against Jokic anyway." And so he didn't play Rudy against our bench. Yeah, because I actually have this note here. I said, so he ended up playing, I think, like a Nas at 5 lineup. I don't know if Julius was out there against our bench of like Spencer Jones and Zeke Naji as the front court with like Bruce and Jamal and Tim, I think were the ones that were out there for the bulk of that time. I do think as the series goes on, depending how much longer it goes on, I expect Finch to be more aggressive in attacking those small lineups with Rudy, but for now, Finch has found a lot of success just matching Rudy's minutes to Jokic for the most part. Like, there are definitely some minutes where Jokic is playing against some of these small lineups, like I said in game 2. But in game 3, it felt like Finch was like really intentional about like, nope, like Rudy, like, he's out there, you're out there, and you're the primary on him. And it's one of the things that, like I said earlier, there has been this whole discourse like going into this series and then after game 1, after game 2, about whether Minnesota should have Rudy on Jokic and what that says about Rudy and like this, that, and the other. And I want to make it very clear that for me, if Denver were doing the things that I thought that they would do in terms of like, forget the shooting that's been atrocious, but the actual process, what game 1 indicated to me would be their process, which is relentlessly putting Minnesota's weaker defenders into action off ball, and then punishing punishing things that way. Or even like some of their strong defenders, like Jaden, is just easier to attack off the ball. So like he's still good, but it's just that's the most effective way to kind of go at it. Finch would be more inclined to say we need to like employ Rudy as a roamer in order to cover for all this stuff and just make whoever is on Jokic kind of work and like try to make Jokic work, whether it's Kyle or Julius, most likely, sometimes Nas, sometimes Jaden, you know, they have a whole cadre, sometimes Ant. But Denver's not doing those things. And that has allowing Rudy Gobert to get away with guarding Jokic one-on-one and doing a crack job of it, as he did in game 1 anyway. Right? Like he did that in game 1, and that's not why anyone would have been suggesting to move Rudy off. It had nothing to do with how good he was on Jokic. And he's just gotten better and better as the series has gone on, and Jokic, you know, worse, right? Like we talked about, like just the shot from everywhere is terrible. And we knew the 3-point shooting was bad. But let me actually, I've got Jokic's shooting here. So Jokic is shooting 5 of 24 from 3 in the series. That is less than 21% from 3, which is like way worse than even like as bad as you would have thought it would be. And the reason that he's taking so many attempts is because of how good of a job Rudy is doing on Jokic from the inside as well. So in 14 minutes of time spent matchup with Rudy in this series, just directly, Jokic is 6 of 17 from the field, including 2 of 7 from 3, which means he's only shooting 40% from 2 against Rudy, with 1 free throw attempt. And it's so interesting because those were the minutes where we were like, I don't know, Denver seems to do just fine when Rudy's out there again in the regular season. Playoffs come along, it's just a different ball game, right? It's just a different ball game, and it's so hard to predict how these things are going to go, how much more not just the other team is going to scout you in like deciding their schemes, but how well an individual defender is going to scout your best player and adjust to him, even as the series has gone on. Because there were a couple shots that Jokic made, I think, in game 1 that like specific shots that Rudy just doesn't allow to happen anymore, kinds of things.
Yeah, and just like GP St. John's asking, why can't Jokic cook Gobert? And this is like a part of it, is the 3-point shots not on, as you said, and other people in the chat are pointing out that doesn't draw Rudy out of the paint if the shot's not on at this point. There's not a lot of time left in the series. Out of the paint
anyway.
Yeah, there's not enough time left really in the series to change that fact. I mean, maybe Jokic can start burning them from 3 if it catches on, and we can win some games, of course, if they want to leave him open to shoot. Right now, he's not punishing them. So it's going to take other creative methods to get some looks. And I mean, in the first game, Jokic was pretty passive, and I thought that was a good sign. I thought Jokic didn't need to be super aggressive and score in the paint and like get to that aggressive mode, and we still won because Jamal was doing well enough getting space, and that was off of screens and some actions. And like you said, they kind of been going away from that, and Jamal's been getting more locked up. I don't know if he's tired. I don't know what's going on, but we're not being as creative. And that is also, it's an indictment on everyone, like on Jokic and Jamal and Adelman. If it's a collective effort, they're collectively not coming up with the right strategies. But I get that it's like if Jokic isn't even making shots, you know, scheme kind of falls out the window because Jokic just isn't putting the ball in the basket. And it sucks to see. And I am more worried about the offense than the defense. I was saying that in the chat. And it's weird how that can flip in the playoffs when we've been worried about the defense all year. But I knew we'd be on this show talking about how can we get Jokic looks in the paint, because this happens every year, like especially with the Thunder. It's like, man, how can we get him looks? How can we get him looks versus the Wolves? We need more creators to open things up. We need more shooting to open things up, and it just like never happens. And then we're talking about what the hell can we even do because they just look stuck.
Yeah, I'm just doing a rough count here. 23, 4. Okay. So in Jokic's last 24 games, I just went back to like February, basically, like All-Star break. He's actually attempted more than 4 threes over half the time, which is kind of interesting. How often has Jokic made more than 2 threes, do you think, out of those 24 games?
More than 2 threes in 24 games? Like a third of the time? I don't know. I always think because you're asking me, I should go lower.
So twice.
Oh my god! What the hell?
And like it surprised me because there are more games than you would expect where he's attempting 6 or more threes. And obviously, like I went because there's actually a number of games where he makes 2. I was gonna say like, oh, what's the cutoff? That's kind of interesting here. He makes 2. A little under half the time, but not even that. Most of the time it's 0 or 1.
Yeah. I mean, he made 2 last night. He was 1 of 8 like to start out, and then he made another one later on.
That I did not think was going in because it was completely out of rhythm. Like he did like a jab step to try to create some space. And
I mean, so yeah, the 3 wasn't good, but he was the only starter who made a single 3.
Yeah.
So it's just bad. And we tried to add more shooting in the offseason. You got Tim. Even Peyton's shooting improved a bit, but he's not out there. AG's shooting, we've all talked about it. He's not out there either.
He also hasn't been shooting well.
Yeah, I assume because he's hurt. But I mean, what it is. Like the shooting is just like vanished though. Like it is crazy. And we said Murray's not going to shoot 0 of 8. That was like the sentiment after game 1. Like we won and he shot 0 of 8. That's never going to happen again. Then he goes 0 and 5 last night, and he's like the best shooter in the league.
Game 2, he went 6 and 14.
Yeah,
but we lost.
Yeah.
Coming into the series, I think we kind of talked about this a lot, but if I'd asked you which side of the ball was the bigger concern, you would have said the defense probably, right?
The concern was the defense.
Like the bigger concern. Because I think like we know the limitations of this offense. We kind of know how it can get clamped up, but we like the defense was bad. And lo and behold, like we come into the playoffs, and the defense is just like magically better than it was in the regular season, but the offense is way, way worse.
Yeah, but we talked about the offense a lot.
It's not just because of the shooting. Yeah. Go ahead.
And it was just like because I knew at some point, because the Wolves are a good defensive team, that we would look cold or stalled, and there was the possibility that the shooting would just disappear. I don't know why. I feel like it's just because I'm not lucky enough for my players to just make their threes. And like regardless of like if they're being contested, which the Wolves do a really good job at like contesting and running out, and they're fast and can do that. But even open shots are just being missed too. And I like as credit to the Wolves, but the Nuggets are also like melting down in this regard. And it is very weird. I don't really understand why. It could be, I feel like it's just everything. It's coaching. It's the players not having the right mindset. I may hurt. Like obviously we're missing players, but I don't know what's up with Jokic. It's very like hard to understand. And even Jamal, like I get that. And admit it, it's hard to chase Jamal around, and then now he's also disappearing and not making it hard on them.
So in the regular season, Denver shot less than 30%, only 12 times. They only won 5 of those games. Despite being a team that won over 60% of their games. So that's just something to think about. Like Denver is a team that is more reliant on shooting now than they were before. Okay, Ray says, Grace and Will, do you think the Wolves wearing out the Nuggets is affecting their shooting? They look gassed from the defense. The Wolves are playing. I mean, yeah, I think that's true of every playoff team. That's why everybody's shooting has gotten worse. Is that they're playing harder defense like themselves against other against their opponents, and the tougher defense that everybody's playing on everybody is wearing each other out, right? So the question is just like, can you do both at the same time? We don't have to have a blistering, even in this last game. I don't even know what what Denver's like defensive rating was. It's not like it was like a sterling game from the Wolves either. That's what made it more sad to me, honestly, is like Minnesota gave them plenty of chances to get back into this game, plenty of opportunities to, that they just couldn't even take advantage of to like make it a game at literally any point. Because like their offense would stall out. And like last night, Denver had a defensive rating of 111.9.
Yeah.
Which is great. But they had an offensive rating of 95.
It's weird. I knew this would happen. Like I don't know.
That's great, even with all the bad defense. That like I don't even think they played like that well. Right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
So
there's just not a lot of time to get this together.
Yes, I think so. Absolutely right.
Game 4 is coming up. That's when we can really make conclusions about this offense, because they're either going to look good and like that's the thing too, is it's all related. If the offense isn't firing on all cylinders, like the defensive issues are compounded too, because it's just like you have to stop to keep up because you're not scoring when usually we're scoring. And then
but even then, like you look at it and you're like, even with all the terrible offense, they're like holding them to a decent, you know, the opponent to a decent offensive rating.
So it's like the outlook
like,
would
could
seemingly be good
freaking shots
on paper,
but also not just making shots. I think their process has been pretty inexplicable. Let me see here. What's a good one? Okay, could you go to Rudy stonewalling Jokic in the post? So this is at the end of game 2. And I think this was one of like 3 possessions in a row that Denver went to Jokic in the post, 1-on-1 against Rudy, which is just like not the offense that they'd been playing all game. That was effective. That involved a lot of off-ball movement. It's not even a situation where it's like, well, Jamal was playing with the bench, and so he's like resting here, and Adelman's just trying to like buy a few minutes. Like we're in the last 3 minutes of the game right now. Jamal's on the floor. AG's on the floor. You can go ahead and run your stuff. They don't do that. They go to Jokic in the post. And this was, again, just one of like 3 or 4 possessions in a row that this was like what they were doing. And then obviously you're like, well, if Jokic scores on him there, then it's a great idea, right? I mean, sure, but he doesn't. And again, it was like 3 or 4 times in a row. I don't know if that one was the last one. And Jokic did not score on any of those trips.
Yeah.
And then, so that was one example of like, you've got Jokic. He's just attacking Rudy very slowly and methodically on the ball. The Timberwolves don't even like try to, help or anything, but Denver doesn't even give them like a reason to pause if they wanted to, because nobody's moving. It's just like clear out Jokic post isolation on Rudy, and that's what we're gonna roll with here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame the Wolves from not going away from it and just staying with it until Jokic beats it, which you haven't been able to do.
Yeah. Another one here. Let's go to the Rudy block on the Jokic drive, because this was in last game, and this is one of the shots I was thinking of. So you could pause it here, actually. So Jokic has been doing this like pump fake and drive for a bit, and he'll kind of get close to the basket and kind of catch Rudy on his hip and create just enough space, pretty similar to the way that Jamal does it on these drives, where he'll kind of lunge forward a little bit just to kind of protect the ball and then try to get it up on the rim, right? This one is one that I think Rudy has adjusted to quite well, because this is a shot that I think Jokic makes in game 1, maybe smoked the layup in game 2, but in game 3, it just gets straight up blocked, right? So you can go ahead and play the end of this. I think everybody remembers this one. And Rudy just does a good job of like sticking with him there. But But once like everything like slows down again, like why is Christian in the dunker spot? DiVincenzo's just allowed to like hang out there. Yeah, but there's a lot of Christian in the dunker spot lately in ways I don't understand. Everybody knows the big play from game 2 where Jokic dumps it off to him instead of taking the floater, and Christian like misses one of the 2 free throws that would have been essential to tie the game at that point. There was another play. I didn't include this in the clips, but everybody was really mad at Bruce on this play because they come down. It's kind of semi-transition. They end up having to like pull out, like reset. Then I think Bruce like dribbles the ball down, gives the ball to Jokic. Jokic gives it back to Bruce, and then Jokic signals to Bruce like, "You go." And at this point, Rudy is on the floor and he is switched out onto Bruce. And Jokic says, "Go ahead, take Rudy Gobert off the dribble, go ISO Rudy." And of course, Bruce, I don't know if he gets blocked or just like misses like a contested shot at the rim, like because Rudy's able to stay within there because he drops back enough to give him that space. But everyone was really mad at Bruce, and I'm like, guys, Jokic told him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It was very clear that Jokic had signaled Bruce to do that isolation. But I'm like, wow, they finally done, because Minnesota, I think since game 2 has experimented with a lot more switching of Rudy, especially late switches. But even this one was like an early switch. Like it's just kind of like, I think it was just like cross match and transition basically. Because like I said, like everyone was running down and the Denver reset. You finally like, okay, we've pulled Rudy out onto the perimeter. Jokic, maybe you could do something here. Or like Denver can run something off ball for somebody else that like isn't Bruce, but we've pulled Rudy out of the paint. And then we're like, no, Bruce Brown, go. Like that's just like dumb stuff that like other teams do. like they were really unrecognizable yesterday. That was the game where I was just like, I don't even know if they were trying to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not because of like the energy of the non-Jokic players. I think they were playing hard, if not poorly. But they were playing pretty dumb, like a lot of dumb basketball.
They kind of did what I thought the Wolves were going to do in game 2, where we were up 19. We were making every three, all those and 1 3-point shots. And I was like, maybe the Wolves pack it up and just go, I'm going to go home, regroup. We'll try and win game 3. But they came back and beat us. And we just kind of folded instead of trying to fight back for that game because they punched us early. We weren't making any shots. And like you're saying, like some of the defensive effort was there, but because we just couldn't make anything, we were just out the whole game.
Yeah, like really mentally out of it. Again, Jamal did not get that memo, right? Like he was kind of stupidly kind of charging into battle. I think a lot of ISOs for him too. Or like pick and roll from like a standstill. Not a lot of coming off of pin downs, running into the handoff, operating off ball, off cuts, and like things that just like not really what Denver was going for in this game. I really don't like. I think it's a continuation from game 2, so I don't think this is like a indicative of some grander scheme, specifically to throw game 3, which is exceptionally dumb because now they're trailing in the series and they're in danger of going down 3-1 in a series in round 1 of the playoffs, right? Yeah. So speaking of Jamal, we talked about Jokic's shooting. Jamal is 6 of 27 from 3 in this series, and that I think is infinitely more damaging than Jokic's 3-point shooting, except for I think Jokic has taken almost as many threes as Jamal, which you don't want to see. What was it for Jokic? 24, 25, 24. 24. Jamal's taken 27 threes. Like you want to see that from Jamal. And it's crazy. He's took half of those in game 2. Took 14, right? I really think for Jamal, the 3-point shooting is like the biggest negative. Because honestly, everything else has been sort of better than you'd expect. And by everything else, it's not even like he's like making layups at like an exceptional late rate or anything like that. He's just like, he's mostly not turning the ball over. There's been like some bad ones in like certain situations, but um he's getting to the free throw line more than you'd expect. Not just in game one.
How many did he have last night?
He only played like limit. I think it was like
Yeah.
6.
I mean, I know it
Maybe
doesn't really
6.
matter because we were getting smoked, but
Yeah. 7. So
yeah, it's more
he
than
only got 2 in game 2, but he also took 14
Mm.
threes. So that was more of like an indicator of like what kind of game he was playing.
Yeah.
It should have been 5 because he should have gotten 3 free throws on that one where Dante intentionally like comes way down on him, like crashes down on him, and they just didn't give them the call. That was really dumb in game 2.
Oh my god.
But other than that, like he's mostly kind of doing what you need from him, except like we really need him to make shots. I think that for him, unlike the shooting with Jokic, I'm like the shooting doesn't have to come back. Although like getting up to like 30% would be like more acceptable than the 21% he's shooting right now. But if the other stuff, like the just like being able to like cook Rudy one-on-one and just like even if it's not that, it's like, okay, direct the offense to do the smart thing on this possession if Rudy's going to guard you the way that he's guarding you, kind of thing. It could still make a major positive impact on Denver. But I think for Jamal, really the only thing that he can do at this point to make things better is make his 3-point shots. That's
No,
just
that's
been.
what it. I
And
don't
we
know what the
talked about how important
narratives.
his shot is. It's even more important now that nobody else can make a shot, right?
Yeah. Uh, we're gonna have to figure out a lot in real time because if we start figuring out the Gobert matchup, let's say Jamal starts hitting shots. I mean, the Wolves haven't really had to adjust anything to what we've been doing, and it's game
Yeah.
4. So
That's a good point. Like, I wouldn't say that either team has made any major change schematically from what they want to do. Or rotationally. Like if
I feel like,
anything, Finch potentially no longer has to play Rudy in the non-Jokic minutes because Denver's like, okay, fine, we give up. We're gonna play small here anyway. And if Finch wants to later, he can. And Denver, I mean, if anything, they went away from everything that was working for them. So I wouldn't say that neither team has had to, but neither team has made those big changes, big adjustments, I should say.
yeah. The only thing that's kind of happened is someone getting in foul trouble and then it kind of making some rotations that weren't schematic, but it was just because the player had a rest. And then, like when Rudy had to go out in game 2, and then we just looked like we didn't know what the hell to do, how to attack. Yeah, but other than that, there's going to be adjustments
I totally
down the
forgot that
line.
Rudy was in foul trouble in that first quarter, wasn't he?
And I was almost
I said that was the worst
disappointed.
thing that could have happened to Denver.
Yeah, I mean, we've been praising Rudy for how he's been doing, but I
that
remember
second quarter
thinking
stint against the small ball would just like killed us.
I was thinking we had a better chance to close that game out if Rudy was still on the floor, just because it was seemingly
Game
more.
2?
Yeah,
he was on the floor.
Well,
because in the
he went
second
out,
half, everything changed.
but he went out with foul trouble.
Yes.
And then that stint, we looked horrible
In the
when
second
Jokic
quarter,
was on the floor
yes.
without Rudy.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I wish, I feel like we would have done better had Rudy been on the floor, but
in
we
the
actually
second
did
quarter.
worse.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that. I do think that based on my review again of that second quarter from game 2, Denver had finally kind of figured some things out by the end of it. But it was kind of too late. Like the damage was done, and that like Minnesota was back in the game. They were playing with confidence, all of that stuff. Whereas like in that first quarter, like they looked completely dejected. They looked ready for Cancun, and instead they're now leading the series. Right?
Yeah. It's why it says, do or die on the thumbnail of this episode, because it's game 4 or we're pretty much done for. But we have come back from 3-1 before, so I guess it's not completely over at that point, but it'll look dire for sure.
So
but yeah,
speaking,
Jamal's shooting is weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's exhausted. I mean, people have been asking about that.
I mean,
in the
he went
chat
6
too.
of 14 in game 2. So
why
like,
are we looking exhausted already in the playoffs?
they
It's
always
just,
look
like,
tired.
crazy.
I'm tired. I'm tired of talking about how they look tired and how they are tired.
Me too.
Everybody's tired. Everybody is sick and tired. Okay.
Except for Ant, who's tired and hurt, but is still able to perform.
I mean, Ant hasn't been great in this series. We remember like some spectacular plays, but let me give you Ant's shooting stats in this series. He was 6 of 15 yesterday, 10 of 25 in game 2, 7 of 19 in game 1. So he's a collective 23 for 59, which is shooting less than 40% from the field. So like we're doing a decent. That's another thing is like, man, we're down in this series and like Nas and Ant have been terrible.
Yeah.
Which is not a good sign. That tells you how good Rudy has been, really. Rudy and Dante just carrying this series. They're basically like I don't know, doing like Caruso did for OKC last season. Was Hartenstein good in that series? I don't remember.
I don't either.
Against Denver. I mean, he kind of killed us in like the bench minutes, but wow, I was tracking this last game because sometimes I watch Matt Moore's podcast on like the Action Network and stuff. And he's like, Nas can barely raise his arm, so I don't think he's gonna make 2 threes tomorrow. When he was talking the other day about yesterday's game. Nas only went 1 of 4. So it's like, oh, okay. I thought I saw him make a second 3, but I guess it didn't happen.
I know it feels like the Wolves are just torching us from 3, but then I look at the stats and it's like we're kind of almost equal in some ways. Although like we shot horribly last night in the other games, it's been like equal with the 3-point shooting. So, but
we're kind of torching us from 3. It felt like in the 24 series. Honestly, yesterday felt like if Denver had been playing the 2024 Timberwolves, it would have turned into like game 6 did. That like 46 point blowout. But it was more like they went up 20 and then just kind of stiff armed Denver from there. Because of like they're just a more limited team now than they were then. Yeah. Man, we're not playing Dante off the floor. We're not playing Bones off the floor.
Yeah, Bones is hitting shots.
Ayo Dosunmu is like cooking us. It's just a hellscape.
It really is like the nightmare of when Tim Connolly left and went to the Wolves. Well, I know we already been eliminated by them once. We beat them 3 times this season.
Tim Connolly leaves Denver, goes to Minnesota, then acquires Nickeil Alexander-Walker, then acquires Ayo Dosunmu.
Yeah.
It's like, where was all of this when you were the GM of the Nuggets?
I know. Why are you getting us Facu Campazzo and every small guard in the world? And then they have like big dudes, like the dudes we actually need to be putting around Jokic. That's so annoying.
And not just big dudes, but like the like good like guard defenders too. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And like guy who can dribble all the way to the rim, and I would assume like, man, his slashing. I will say like everybody looks like a better slasher against Denver. But
yeah. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, so speaking of there's still hope. Even if Denver goes down 3-1, they've come back from that before. I don't know if this team has it in them, but I'm sure every single time the Nuggets have gone down 3-1, the fan base said the exact same thing.
Yeah. No, it's scary to be down 3-1. It's scary to be down 2-1 right now.
Yeah.
With how we're looking.
Because it's scary because you could go down 3-1.
And remember when we did the draft for like reasons why the Nuggets would go out early, I picked like getting a really bad matchup early. And then my one was the Wolves. Was like,
Yeah.
if we get the Wolves in the first round, this could be bad. And here we are. But I don't know. I just don't know what to expect. I could like if we win the game and we look great and Jokic is back, we can win. And you'd think if all you needed was Jokic to just kind of be normal Jokic, we'd have a good chance that would be a pretty good bet. Like, oh, Jokic just has to go out there and do what he does, and maybe we can steal these games. And I don't know if he's going to do it or not. I don't know what's up with him. And I don't know if it's because he's like lost weight and like can't body Gobert. What the hell? And that's throwing off his coordination because he's like skinnier now.
He's not skinnier than he was in 23.
Yeah, but
Maybe
it's like
than
he's
he was
going
in 24,
from
but
being bigger to like, I don't know. Adam and them were talking about how he lost 20 pounds or something like recently. Like when you lose that much weight that quick and like, I don't know. I don't know if it's throwing off him not being used to his skinny body right now. Anyway, that's hard to know, but I wonder if that is a factor in this series. But do you feel like the Nuggets are going to come out in game 4 and win? Like, do you have a feeling about it? Are you still hopeful?
I have no idea. Hope is not the word that I would use. It's more like morbidly curious. that's the way that I feel about this team right now, is morbid curiosity. I will say though, even if Denver does manage to dig their way out of this series, this is not a title team, not in the year 2026. And not because like of like the roster or whatever, even the health issues, which are huge, but because you can't go 7 in round 1 with the level of competition that is out, even 6. Although, like, do you see this Denver team winning the next 3 games in a row? Oh my God, there's a spider. I should not have looked at my wall. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna try not to freak out for the next
Grace's fiance.
Okay. What was I talking about? It's just they can't do it. Like going into one of the things that they needed to do to go into the Spurs series with an edge, and like I get it, they feel like it's a favorable matchup. Every one of those games has gone down to the wire this season with San Antonio, with or without Wemby. But they're a better, like, they've been a better team than Denver this season. They're a healthier team than Denver. They're a younger team than Denver. And you could also say, like, well, but they're a younger team than Denver and like playoff experience and like all of this stuff. But ultimately, that the edges that they have can win out if Denver is simultaneously beaten and battered from a 7-game series with, you know, their toughest matchup in the league, essentially. But the way they dig their way out of this ditch that they've got themselves in right now, and maybe you don't consider it a ditch until it's 3-1, because I think at that point it's a grave. Like you gotta like Uma Thurman it and like punch your way out of the coffin that they've got you in 6 feet under after you go down 3-1. Right now it's a ditch. Jokic needs to show up to the party. Especially like particularly offensive, like he just needs to make shots. He needs to make it he doesn't even need to make it untenable to leave Rudy on him, because I actually went into the series thinking I need Jokic to just be effective enough against Rudy that they're like, damn, but they keep Rudy on him so that all of our off-ball stuff can still, you know, reign supreme. And I just don't think that Denver has left so much meat on the bone with that, with just the way that they've approached these last 2 games.
Do you blame that more on like Adelman?
I do. I blame it on. Okay. I blame it on both, because I do think that there's a certain, like that one play where you're like, why is Bruce ISOing Rudy? But I clocked it like in real time. I'm like, what is Jokic doing? Telling like Bruce, you go. Like we're in the playoffs. Like what are we talking about? You just lost this heartbreaker at home last game, and you're trying to like get. I think this was like the first quarter. Maybe first quarter, early second quarter kind of thing. It was inexplicable. So I think that everybody needs to kind of get it together. But I do think it's both, because there are often times like they come out of timeout, Adelman's drawn up a play, and it's like Jokic empty side post up with no movement on the weak side, right? So I think everybody plays a part in it, and they need to get it together, because right now I don't think that they're operating as a team unit, from the coach down when it comes to the offense. Denver is currently shooting 33 for 109 in this series. That's tied for fourth worst amongst the 16 playoff teams, tied with the Blazers, by the way, who are also down 2-1 in their series. Oh wait, have they played 3 games? Are they still down? Is it 1-1? Do they play tonight? Whatever. They've only won 1 game. And they need to make shots. So like the real way to dig out of this ditch is like somehow keep up this level of defense and then just start making shots, and hope that the Wolves don't start making shots at the same time, right? Because you've had really a golden opportunity with the way that Minnesota has been shooting in these first few games. Like, even if you think like they lose game 3 either way, like game 2 obviously should have been a W, and they let that one go. Another thing that I found interesting statistically for Denver, they're 15th out of 16 on offensive rebounds per game. I was thinking about that as a Denver stat, but really I think it's a Rudy stat. Denver has not been a good offensive rebounding team this season, right? So in contrast to last year, where they were like a top 7 in that particular stat, they were like they're like bottom 6, like they're like 24th in the regular season for offensive rebounds. But on top of that, even though Minnesota's been a mediocre defensive rebounding team, Rudy has done a good job of specifically keeping Jokic off the glass, and Denver has not pressed that issue offensively. I think they've tried to prioritize their transition defense to no avail, by the way. Like, the transition defense has been so bad in this series from Denver's perspective. It's crazy watching other playoff games and seeing other teams get steals, which I know we don't do, but watching other teams get steals, and then the team that lost the ball doesn't just immediately give up on the play and give up a layup. Like, it's not an automatic 2 points just because that happened unlike when you're playing Denver. And it's just like, that's just a habit that's not going to change now at this stage in the game, but it's just something that stood out to me. So I'm not saying that like getting more offensive rebounds is going to like shift the series dramatically, but they need to get more than they're getting right now, because they're being locked up pretty bad. And I do think that because of the way, like, Minnesota has a lot of good defenders that aren't particularly sound. They're just really athletic. Mm-hmm. And I do think that sometimes they do get themselves out of position, and Denver lets them off the hook because of just the way that they approach, like, I'm talking specifically about the glass. So I do think there are opportunities there, but there are fewer than you think, because of how good of a job Rudy in particular has done on the glass.
It's like why we lost game 2. Like, a lot of the reason.
Yeah.
The second chance points were brutal.
It was like 20-2 at one point in that game. Ugh, nasty. Like, the offensive rebounding too has been a problem. Like, Denver needs to be better on the defensive glass if they're not going to offensive rebound. It's just the same thing as the turnovers. It's like, okay, if you're not going to force turnovers, then you have to not turn the ball over yourself, or you're just ceding a ton of ground in that part of the possession game. Right.
Okay. Before we go to any other topic, I do want to know what you thought about, if anything, about Jaden McDaniels' comments, just because I feel like we have some people curious about. We haven't been able to talk about it because this is first stream of the playoffs. Any thoughts
on Jaden McDaniels' comments? Like, what I forgot what the question was, but he said something like, "Oh, it was like about their game plan in game 2, right? In the second half of game 2, he's like, yeah, you just go off at all their bad defenders," and he's like, "Are they all bad defenders?" The reporter asked, and he started listing people like Christian, AG, Yo, Jamal, and I think, or maybe Jaden named people. He's like, "Yep, they're all the bad defenders." Blah blah blah. I don't know. Like, what are my thoughts on that? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it worked. So, like, and it worked again in like enough in game 2. I don't know, like Jaden talks a lot, so I don't really have any specific thoughts on it.
It was annoying, like, I'm not a Jaden McDaniels fan, obviously. I wanted the Nuggets, I wanted that to be bulletin board material. It clearly wasn't, but AG didn't get a chance to come out and he was like the only one there. I was like, he can come out and show that he can defend, and then he had the calf injury. Otherwise, yeah, then it was just, what can you say? You get blown out the next game, so now you can't really talk shit back. And then, yeah, what can you say? He won that battle, but we'll see if we can respond ever. It does suck how much of a better offensive player he's been, because we used to be able to talk shit about how he sucks at shooting, and he's been pretty good. But otherwise, my thought was, we can say that the defense sucks, but you can't say that. Only Nuggets fans can talk about how our defense sucks. Everyone else, don't talk about it.
I mean, I spent like a 2.5 hour preview talking about how all of them suck at off-ball defense. So
yeah,
I just don't care. Let's see here. Oh, actually, one more note about the rebounding. Will, how many rebounds does Cam Johnson have in the playoffs?
God, I don't want to go to this topic or answer it. How many rebounds total in the whole in these 3 games? 4.
3.
Hey, I was close.
You were close, but you were lowballing it.
Yeah.
Were you hoping it was going to be like 5?
Yeah. Or like 7.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And, I get the detractors of the MPJ trade, they always talk about how they wish they had MPJ's rebounding. So there's another feather for your cap if you are on that train. It sucked because for a second we were looking great. Like Cam was attacking the rim and able to score and like dribble like in ways that MPJ can't. He looked like a real weapon for us and another solution for us against the Wolves in this series. And he's disappeared just like everyone else has, in a way.
I saw some people who got really excited about that one like fast break clip that one time he kind of broke like pressure. And I was like, okay, that's good. But he like didn't shoot well in that game. I think Cam has been pretty good defensively in this series. Like notably good, which is weird. It's just like that the bar is pretty low on this team. But offensively, like he's just not being like super inefficient, just like everyone else. But it's more reminiscent of like early season Cam. Not too many, like there's no like record scratch possessions or anything like that. But I will say, like, because of the way that Denver happens to be playing, there aren't many opportunities to have a record scratch possession either. Yeah, it's not great. And you can't have 3 rebounds in 3 games as a starter from the forward spot.
Yeah.
Just unacceptable. I actually think Spencer kind of goes for a lot of offensive rebounds and like tap outs, but he doesn't always get them. Just want to see. So Spencer Jones also has 3 rebounds in 3 games. Off the bench as like the whatever man. So he did start last game, to be fair. I
feel like we pulled him
47 minutes total. And Cam has played. Yeah, he played 10 in the first one, like 20 minutes in the second game, and then 26 or 27, I forget. But Cam has played, oh my gosh, live math. Am I smarter than a 5th grader? Not with a timer, I'm not.
24 seconds.
Jesus. This is literally how I wake up every morning, by the way. My alarm makes me solve 3 math problems before it turns off, and
Interesting.
it will go off again in another minute if I don't tell it that I'm still awake 5 minutes later, and then I have to do the math all over again. It's the only way that I can wake up fully. So that's going to be 52, 82, 85. So 85 minutes, almost double. And Spencer's got the same number of rebounds in half the time. Not a good look. Not a good look for Cam Johnson. Yeah. So
AG
speaking of
upgraded to
players that
questionable.
have, in case I
Yeah.
missed it, AG's upgraded to questionable for tomorrow. Yeah. All right. Speaking of players that have disappointed, let's move on to our last segment of the show here. What's next for Denver? Last week, we got some questions from the live chat about what Denver should do this offseason, depending on how the playoffs go. Sorry. And I said, you know what? Let's revisit this if Denver is down 1-2 next week. Because I didn't think that they would go like 0-3 or whatever, but I definitely thought this was a possibility, although an unlikely one. I was kind of hoping to avoid this conversation for a few more weeks because it just kind of spoils our off-season content. But yeah, there's a very real possibility now that Denver goes out in round 1, which would be an exceptionally disappointing result for this season, despite the injuries, despite the injuries have really been like the main thing, but the defense this season, because they're, they still like clawed their way to a top 3 seed, played like a relatively competent basketball team for most of the year, and a great basketball team for a smaller portion of the year, right? But you can't ignore a round 1 exit to a lower seed, especially in a situation where ownership is already kind of in cost-cutting mode and wants to find reasons to stay in cost-cutting mode, right? We've talked about the possibility of it, like in the case of like right now, like if they were to lose this series, this would be an exceptionally early exit. And this was the one situation where I felt like they're definitely going to try to deduct the luxury tax, like for sure, which is like I think that's the most extreme version of like the cost cutting that ownership could kind of go into this summer. The others being just kind of staying under the second apron, maybe staying under the first apron, which has less benefit to it. Relatively, but getting under the luxury tax could be like a major priority for them if Denver goes out in round 1 to the 6th seed. That didn't even win 50 games, by the way. This isn't like some juggernaut Timberwolves team like we faced a couple years ago or anything, as we've seen from like very prolonged stretches of this series. Right. So I want to talk a little bit, like very briefly, about what a reset can and realistically can't look like this summer. There have been several calls, probably like several dozen, several hundred calls at this point, to trade Christian Brown. His contract is an albatross, this, that, and the other. And to that, I say they cannot trade Christian Brown because his contract is an albatross, right? For reference, Denver had to trade their most valuable far out future first round pick to dump MPJ's salary, which, yes, was higher than Christian's is about to be, but was about to be an expiring contract. And they're not going to have obviously that first or the one after it, just because of the Stepien rule, which says you have to have a draft pick in like subsequent years. They're not going to have anything like that available to trade to try to get rid of like a bad money contract, at least, and get something back. But I think it might be even harder just to like straight dump money than to take something back that is of like lesser, like a contract of lesser, like average annual value. What do you say to just that specifically on Christian before we move on to the others?
I mean, I get why it does appear that it is untradeable in an albatross, and people talking about it as possibly one of the worst contracts in sports, as Swipa was saying last night. But I wouldn't give up on looking for trades. Like, if it is true that no one wants him, fine, but try to trade. Maybe someone wants what he has to offer.
For 5 years. Because that's the length of the deal.
At least try it. But it could
no,
be
I'm not
impossible.
saying I'm just saying like realistically they're not going to find anybody that wants to
at least this offseason.
Take on a 5-year deal.
Yeah. I think CB was better last season, I would say, because his finishing around the rim was much more reliable than it is now. And I don't know, in another season, could he look like a different player? Possibly. I don't know. So down the road, but this offseason, it seems unlikely. But I do wonder, Ray asked, how would you grade CB so far in this playoffs?
Am I grading on a curve? Because it's not like anybody behind him has been better. But he hasn't been good enough. Defensively, like it's hard to say because defensively he's been better, but the whole team's been better. And I also like Ant's also hobbled like very clearly. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how much defensive impact he's having. If we actually, this would be an interesting question because this was a thing last year where Christian's individual defense was like not it, right? But when you looked at the numbers, especially with Jokic on the floor, like just Christian being there made a huge difference in the on-offs defensively for the team. Not so much this season, like at all. It's just like, nope, not it. Like everything is aligning with the eye test, right? If we go to the playoffs here, and it's only 3 games, like very, very limited sample size. It's so limited that it doesn't even like register for cleaning the glass. Like the defense is better with him on the floor, but like my gosh, the offense is so.
Yeah, he hit a couple threes in the first game. He has some good possessions on Julius Randle and Ant. Sometimes he's out of position and leaves DiVincenzo open. Like, but I do feel like there hasn't been a ton.
Like some of that is like, I don't know if that's him or the scheme.
Yeah, and it could
be that's not
both,
really been my main, like the off-ball stuff hasn't even been my main gripe with him throughout the season. It's the point of attack. And that does look better against Ant, but like everybody else is doing whatever they want. And it's not like Christian is matched up directly with Ant all the time either. So how would I grade him? Honestly, like he hasn't made a indelible impact enough for me on this series for me to give him even like a C. So I'd have to say a D.
Okay.
Which is still like above 50%. It's like a 60 something. Right. All right. Next one here, Aaron Gordon. This would be, I think, the most, obvious move, tied perhaps with another. So AG, let me double check this, I believe has 3 years left on his contract because, yes, his new extension number actually kicks in next year. He'll be making almost $32 million. So he'll have 2 years and then a player option after that at that number. He's got a very versatile skill set. He's known as a good locker room guy, like especially in Denver now. I don't know if that was the case in Orlando, but he's certainly like, if there was any issue with like how he was viewed around the league, like there definitely isn't now. He's seen as like the ultimate winner. He's got all the playoff moments, all of this stuff, and probably is the player that the most teams would be interested in taking on. Just looking at the player profile. The contract is a different question because it is rather big for like a third or fourth guy, depending on who the team is, and the injury history of the last 2 years, which would be the main reason that Denver is trading him. I think if Denver was struggling in this series right now, but AG was like available and had been available for most of the season, I don't think that he would be the obvious next person on this list to move. But it's obvious that the availability and the injury issues would be the thing that would simultaneously make him more likely to be like the target for Denver to move if they wanted to make a big change to save money / add maneuverability as they see fit, right? It would be like this would be mostly a money saving deal, right? But he's had the injury issues and now it's directly affecting the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know how I felt? I always said no AG, no victory, pretty much. I was, talking with friends and stuff yesterday before the game saying I think we're going to lose because AG is going to be out. I just didn't think it was going to look so ugly, even though Matt Moore predicted a blowout.
He predicted a lot about this game. Like he read this team. He's like the Wolves are going to come out, and they did. Like I give the Wolves a lot of credit for that first quarter. I don't think they were. I think they were super sloppy the rest of the game. And like if Denver had been better, they could have like made it a game at the end and like really challenged Minnesota to like keep it up, right? But they just weren't. Like,
it really sucks because
and by day, like I really think like I want to make it very clear in game 2, a lot of guys played poorly, but I think that Jokic's energy was like the biggest like indictment of the team in game 2. I don't think that everybody else deserves condemnation for the way that they played. They played poorly, but it wasn't like they gave up, right?
Yeah. It was just like, I mean, when Murray and Jokic are off like that, you're doomed anyway. Yeah. Like, would it have opened up something for them if the other role players were playing well? Maybe, but no. Yeah, well, with AG, I mean, I've said like I'd rather go down with the ship with him and not trade him and just keep him on the team. Like he is 30, and I get that being 30, your body's different. You can't rely on just being athletic and healing quickly. And in the NBA, with the space and injuries going up, it just is a reality that players who are in their 30s are going to have more injuries like this, and they're going to miss more games. But when you think of AG,
but he played 36 games this season.
Yeah, it's crazy how little he's played. And I get that we were hoping he would be healthy for the playoffs, but it looked unlikely considering the fact that he had missed so much time and there wasn't enough time for him to fully recover. Apparently, like obviously he's out with the third game of the playoffs. So the idea that he'd go through like this huge run is already pretty much in a massive hole. And but when he is playing his best, I can't think of another player that can replace what he does like in the league. That's not like an all NBA player. And he just doesn't provide that same like defensive intensity, 3-point shooting, and vertical spacing. Like, where do you find it? He's like the perfect Swiss Army knife,
or was
for Jokic to use as a tool. Yeah, so it's like I just don't. How do you replace that? I would rather gamble on trying to get him healthy and like getting him back to play like he was, because you're just not gonna replace it. And I get that he's a lot of money.
I think the argument would be like you just go a completely different direction and try to fill other needs / like approach what you need around Jokic in a completely different way. But like your point is completely taken from me. I'm just saying like what the what the counter would be there.
Yeah, I've always said I wish we had 4 AGs to put around Jokic. So I don't want to lose one. So I don't know. Anyway, like I don't want to trade AG, but I get why they would do it if it's like he's never healthy. Like we can't invest this much money, and he's tradable, right? Like a team would maybe try to get him, and he's only going to get more expensive and older as time goes on. So what is the front office thinking? I'm really scared. And that's part of the reason why I'm really nervous for game 4, because it's like, if we lose this, all these questions about, trading our main dudes are on the table. If it's even possible. I don't know.
Next one, speaking of main dudes, it's Jamal Murray. Jamal, for his contract, I believe he also has, he has 3 years left after this one on his current deal. It's on a regular old veteran max contract, 30% of the salary cap. He's only 28, or he's in his age 28 season. So I think he turned 28. Let me double check that, because he and Jokic have birthdays like a few days apart. But I was like, wait, Jamal was 27 this year? Yeah, no, that's weird. Spot track is off because Jamal turned 29, so that should be pulled up. That makes more sense. Okay. 3 years left on his contract. Jamal's is a more interesting case to me than either Christian or AG, because he's a little bit harder to value. One of the things that I actually do think would that makes this conversation interesting is the timing of that. So NBA is going through their process of finding bids to launch these expansion teams in Seattle and Las Vegas. My projected timeline for when we would have like an expansion draft is summer of 2027. I think if they were to trade Jamal, it probably wouldn't be this summer. If that's the direction they wanted to go, it would be this summer. It would probably be like trade deadline, as teams are sort of getting their ducks in a row to kind of restructure before said expansion draft happens, likely next summer. He's a player like, unlike AG, where he's just kind of like, AG's going to come in and probably be useful to any team that he comes to. Like Jamal is like more specific in that it's like we need a second guy, most likely. I don't think Jamal is like young enough that a team is going to be like, we need you to like be like the guy for our franchise right now. Even if it's just a team that wants to like put like butts in seats kind of thing. But winning pedigree, he's super versatile. Like we talk all the time about all the different ways that Jamal can play. There aren't any obvious targets at the moment. I do think that we've talked about Jamal trades in the past, as we didn't know like what direction the team was going to try to go with Jamal. Obviously, it helps that he's coming off of a career year right now, right? So maybe they would actually try to move on it this summer if that's the way that they decided they want to go, because they're like, well, we got to strike while the iron is hot. If there are teams that are interested in taking on Jamal after seeing him in a season like this, a season where because of injuries and stuff, he's gotten even higher usage. So they kind of have had a bit of a look at what that can look like. So I like, this is definitely not off the table. I think that AG and Jamal are the two most obvious kind of big swings that Denver could take in order to, blow it up, right? That's what this would be.
There's only so many options, sadly, with if this goes bad, because if CB is not tradable, who else can you do? And these are the two. It's crazy. Jamal's finally have an all-star, all-NBA season, and we always said if he was playing this way, who can beat this team? Because Jokic is Jokic, and if Jamal's playing at this level, we're going to be so hard to beat. And then both of them have just kind of disappeared so far to start the series. Although Jamal was great in the first game. Other than he couldn't make a three. So it's like he's a great season. So
I don't think Jamal was that good in the first game.
Okay, well, he scored 30 points.
broke from consensus
downhill
in that. I think that was great. I thought it was great that he got downhill and got free throws. I don't think that he was. I wasn't like a huge fan of his process. Again, and this has more to do with, maybe it's less about Jamal specifically, but even in game one, like they did some of the stuff that they did in the regular season, but you could see the kind of seeds of like where things were going, even in game one, where it's like, this is a lot of Jamal, like high pick and roll, like where's all the off ball stuff? Why isn't he coming off pin downs? This, that, and the other. So maybe that's, again, less than Jamal as the series has gone on. It's just like whole team decision that this is how they want to play offense, but I don't like it. So
yeah, I mean, Jamal's been up and down. I liked him in the first game, and yeah, Big Honey said he was good in game two, only in the first half. Yeah, I agree with that as well. Yeah, selling high on Jamal, I don't know. It's interesting. What would Jokic think of it? Would he veto it? Would Josh Kroenke even want to do that? He's vetoed a Jamal trade before, but getting off that money. I mean, think about, the trade deadline, like an East team being like, let's get Jamal in here and we can go to the finals because it's the East. It's kind of interesting. I don't know. Like, I don't want to trade Jamal or AG. I just, like, on record, I do not want to trade either of them. But that is what is at stake if the Nuggets really go out sad like this. And it's like, why I'm going to be watching game 4 with, like, I don't even know if I can watch it because this is what I'm going to have to think about.
I mean, this is the consequence, right? Of going down in a series to a worse team, like just straight up. Like I think if Denver loses this series, the Wolves are going to look terrible in the next round, and we're all going to be like, dude, what the hell? Like, all right, last one here.
The easiest one, in my opinion.
The what?
The easiest one.
What is the easiest one?
The next guy.
Okay, last guy here. Nikola Jokic. Jokic has 1 year left on his contract, pending a potential extension this summer that they've been kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Projecting, basically, since last summer when he didn't sign his extension. Anybody would be interested in Jokic. Like, they would remake their teams. Maybe everybody but OKC. I think even the Spurs would be like, Wemby's still on a rookie deal. Let's go.
Yeah.
Jokic, maybe not, though. Maybe they wouldn't, but maybe they would. I don't know. But I think literally 28 other teams would be like, yes. Let's just get him in the door, and then we can see if we can get him to sign an extension. But that's what you'd have to do, because like I said, only has 1 year left. So it gives the team a bit less leverage, like quite a bit less leverage in deciding like where they would send him. Vyacheslav says if he signs a supermax, he's untradeable for next year. That's correct, but he hasn't yet, right? And so this would probably be more a matter of where he wants to go than anything, because I think the team that trades like substantial assets for him, and Denver would want substantial assets back, would want to know that he is willing to sign an extension there. They're not going to do this. So I included this as an option, but it's not going to happen. For anybody who's mad enough at Jokic after game 2, and really like the whole beginning of the series, because I don't think that he has covered himself in glory with these performances, that would want to move him, I'm sorry, but this isn't actually going to happen. But in a hypothetical world where it was going to happen, I think it would be difficult for... Well, Jokic wouldn't sign an extension, because if he did, it would make him harder to trade. They would probably try to trade him before that, but they would be very limited in where they could, because it would really depend on where he wants to go, just because of how little time he has left on his current deal. But they're not going to do this, because it would be honestly like franchise level suicide to do that. Just kamikaze your whole the entire relevance of your basketball team. I'm seeing things about Adelman in the chat.
Well, yeah.
So the big blow up changes that I listed, all having to do with trading starters. I didn't include Cam in this because I don't think that trading Cam constitutes blowing it up. I also think it's way more likely than any of the other guys moving. So I'm kind of baking it in as a thing that's going to happen this summer anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, real quick, I just want to say Jokic, I would not ever trade him. That would be like the stupidest idea you could ever do. I am very skeptical of an idea that Jokic would not sign an extension because of this and or would leave Denver or ask for a trade. It could happen, but I seriously doubt it. I think he'll sign the extension, and I think the Nuggets will pivot in other directions around him. And I would not trade. I want Jokic on the Nuggets for his entire career until he retires. Like, he's the reason why we've had such a great span in his whole tenure and why we won a championship, and he's a 3-time MVP, and you don't treat people like that, for sure. If he asks for a trade, then he asks for a trade. I just don't think it's going to happen. So we're not trading Jokic. I think, like I said, I want a bunch of like really athletic, fast wings around Jokic and not players who are only one-way players. I don't know how you find those. It might take a year or so, like a gap year. I don't know how long Jokic will be like playing at this level. Like, okay, he's not going to be the best player in the world unless he like really responds, but he'll be a top 10 player. So
I mean, top 10, like,
yeah, sure.
Anyone can be a top 10 player at a given year these days.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think Jokic is going anywhere. Anyway, but I am interested in, just really quick, DA and Cam and what you think of that. Because I think DA would be fired maybe next season. But if we go out in the first round, maybe earlier than that, maybe in the offseason. But I do think losing this series in the first round makes it more likely we'd trade Cam. And I feel like if we won and win at least to the second round and played a little bit better, and Cam showed how he was a contributor to the team, it might be more difficult decision on like trading Cam or not. But I feel like if we go out in this first round, he's like 100% going to get traded.
Especially like playing the way that he's playing. It's very like the clear, if all the contracts like held even, I think Cam and Christian have been like even in terms of their kind of core contributions. But obviously, like, Christian's deal is harder to move, and he's younger, and he was drafted by Denver. Like, teams like to keep their guys. Like, we've been over this before, but yeah. Plus, like, we've already talked about it. Even if they won a series, like, Cam was kind of last one in, first one out situation based on if they're trying to maneuver to pay Peyton while staying under the second apron next summer. The game does get different if they decide they want to duck the luxury tax altogether, though. So that is a problem. It's a big problem. Yeah. That's
and like Val is already on the way out, I think, and Tim, I don't know what to think of Tim. I really wanted to keep him. Obviously, we know that's really tough. Although he's not playing so well right now, would it be easier to keep him because he's not looking good in the playoffs? He looked great in the beginning of game 2. Obviously, we saw
it,
but otherwise, the defense has been like literally maybe the worst, other than Jokic.
Tim's, I mean, like, I guess he's also had good moments. I think on ball where I'm like, oh, like he's like a sturdy guy, real like fire hydrant type who's done better on Ant than I would think in this series. But again, like, maybe that's the biggest evidence of all that Ant is clearly physically limited. The Googer Geeger says they'll do money saving moves if they feel we aren't close. Crunkies love to be cheap. I mean, look, if I'm shelling out almost $500,000 in salary and luxury tax for a roster, and then they get bounced in the first round by a lower seed, I might want to cut some things around the edges too, right? Like this that's why I'm like, look, it's harder to justify those kinds of cuts if you make it even like deep into the second round of the playoffs. But certainly if you make the conference finals or the finals or obviously win the title. But I think that these owners are like when they feel they can be justified in cost saving measures, they're going to make it. That's why I just don't see a way that they don't try to duck the luxury tax if Denver goes out in the first round to a lower seed.
Yeah. And Adelman, how you feel about that? I do want to know.
I want to go back to Big Honey 15. Wait, I want to go back to Big Honey 15's comment. Jokic's about to get the Supermax. He isn't going anywhere. Jokic is already Supermax eligible. Like, he's already gotten a Supermax before. It's not like the Luka situation where if he gets traded to a new team, he can't get as much money. That's not the case anymore because he's already gotten a Supermax. Luka hadn't yet gotten one when he was in that situation where he got traded. So I want to make that clear. Also, his extension wouldn't be for 5 years. It would only be for 4. I don't think they let you do 5-year extensions after that first one. Okay, what was the next one you were going to bring up? The next comment?
Adelman, do you feel like if we lose first round, he's fired this offseason, or they're going to wait till next season?
I do think that if they go out in round 1, he's not getting fired this summer because they're still paying Malone. Well, maybe not because of the buyout from UNC. Did we talk about the fact that Malone is the head coach of the UNC?
I don't think so.
Tar Heels? Is that?
Yeah, the Tar Heels.
Okay, the Tar Heels. I don't think we talked about that on the pod. Congrats to Michael Malone in that way. So maybe they're not still paying Malone, and maybe that would make things a little bit easier to be like, we gotta do something to shake things up, especially if they're looking around at like the roster options and they're like, there's not much we can do here. We need to make some kind of change. It's just not working out. I do think that they give him another year though. But next season is a hot seat kind of season.
Would it be a hot seat season if they deconstructed this roster and Cam's gone and Jamal's gone?
Yeah, because you went out in round 1. Like, you can't, like, it's going to be if they don't turn this around, like, you're going to be on the hot seat next year if you don't turn things around, and you have to have a better. Yeah,
I feel like he could get fired in mid-season next season. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I could see that, but I honestly can't see it happening this summer, even with a first round exit, which is maybe like we had this conversation of like, what would it take for X, different scenarios to happen. And I guess like DA's probably had the most security of anybody. That was before Malone got hired somewhere else. So maybe that changes the financial calculus for them. But I do think that they are inclined to be like, let's just give him another year. This was his first season, blah, 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 blah. He'll learn from it, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think it's a good look. And I do think that it definitely puts a lot of pressure on him for next year, regardless of what they do with the roster this summer.
Well, let's just hope the Nuggets win game 4 tomorrow, and all of this theorizing goes out the window. I mean, the Nuggets can flip the script here and get things back on track. But I mean, without AG, I get it's going to be tough, but it's still possible.
I will say we had a comment way back from RX Smart. He says Jokic's manager has said that if AG gets traded, Jokic will quit playing basketball before. So it's going to be crazy. You could totally see that because like Jokic loves that guy. I just got to the part in my Jokic biography where AG bought him a car to thank him for all the assists, basically, after his first year in Denver. Yeah, so I agree with that, by the way. Like, I think that if Jokic was going to get really pissed off about any one move, that would be it. Like, not even Jamal. Like, it would definitely be AG. So tread carefully, front office. If you're going to do any of this stuff, make sure you get Jokic's signature on the dotted line first. And even then, like, you wouldn't want to. Yeah. I think that they would be very cautious about that kind of thing. But it's tough. Like, it's a really tough sell after the last couple seasons of like, I don't even know How many games did AG play last year? Was it like 51?
So yeah, I can't remember, but worse. I mean, he did have the hamstring in the.
I know, like OKC it's all, series. But it's like this is starting to become just a consistent concern. Not starting to, like it is. It just is now. It's been too.
I mean, Jokic did have that interview recently, with this where he got to speak at length in Serbian, which was really cool to see. And talked about how he did want to play longer than I think a lot of people were expecting. And if Jokic has like conditions on how long he wants to play, and if he wants to play on the Nuggets, like AG has to be here and Jamal has to be here, then he'll say that. And the Cronkies can make a decision on that or not. Or I don't know if Jokic isn't bold enough to like meddle with the decisions of the front office and like make
that's what like your manager's for. I was like, if I'm Misko, I'm calling Ben Tenzer and reminding him like, hey, AG is completely off limits if that's what Jokic wants, right?
Yeah.
Even if he wouldn't say it himself. That's what these people are for. That's why you've got Rich Paul going around town saying all kinds of things that his own clients will say, like, I never would have said that or meant that, like in terms of like wanting a bigger role, this, that, and the other. Because like your agent's there to be the bad guy. And
well, I really do think
create leverage for you.
If Jokic wants AG there to keep playing, they'll make that happen.
Yep.
I just don't know. I don't know what Jokic feels. We'll see. Hopefully I mean, could this series could end before we come back next. Let's hope the series is still going.
Ugh. We wanted a short series.
God, I know. We didn't even really talk about like championship expectations, which I get. Even if we win this series in 7, that goes down a lot. But we're just worried about getting through this series right now. But right now it's looking difficult.
Yeah, so they play Saturday and then Monday. And then we'll see. We shall see. I guess we should say, I think if they have, I haven't looked at the the sort of contingent schedule for the series, because they haven't scheduled games for they haven't scheduled times for games they don't know will be happening yet. So like game 6 and 7. We will let you guys know what days will work depending on if Denver gets eliminated. We'll probably do a show earlier than like Friday next week, but we haven't picked a date yet, so we'll let you know. And if they're still around, obviously, then we'll just do our normal either Thursday or Friday, depending on when they play.
Yep.
Yeah. Fun stuff.
Anyway, all right, guys, please take care of yourselves during this
trying
scary Nuggets time.
If
hopefully we come back and we're up in the series.
If you like our content, please remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Follow us on all our socials to find out when our next show is going to be. Hopefully we don't have to say anything because the Nuggets win the next game, and then there's like an automatic game 6, and then we can just do our normal time.
Yeah.
Follow us. I already said to follow us on socials, but always remember that winning is fun and losing, oh my gosh, just losing sucks.
Yep. See you next time.